is the first day I returned to work. A few days ago, we could get the walking pass. I was allowed to go out to buy some supplies and necessities for an hour. I felt extremely happy when I left home for work today. We were locked in our homes for 2 whole months as we were under lockdown since the 1st of April.
Einar Tangen is a senior fellow at Taihe Institute and joins me now from Beijing. Einar, good to have you. So after 2 months of lockdown, which we know was difficult on residents and did not completely prevent the coronavirus from spreading in small pockets anyway, how would you say that these measures have affected society there?
Well, overall, I think people were very depressed. There's a lot of anger, almost worldwide. I mean, people are very tired of COVID. Unfortunately, COVID is not necessarily tired of us. But, it's going to be a real litmus test on China's zero tolerance policy and whether zero COVID, I should say, and whether or not we'll see by the shape of the recovery. If it's a V, then China's vindicated. If it's a W, partially. If it's a K, where you have different segments going in different directions, or if it's a dreaded L, where you see things go down and just kind of continue. So, the proof is going to be in the pudding. We'll see what happens. But I can tell you, if you start looking at freight rates, May 6th, it was about a little over $10,000 to send a container from China to the West Coast. It's now edging above 14,000 a couple days ago and heading higher. So obviously there's a lot of pent-up demand.
Yeah, those numbers say a lot. So do you think that the Chinese government is prepared for when lockdowns are lifted anywhere in the world, you do see resurgences? And do they still have an appetite to react in the same way if those clusters do emerge?
Well, the difficulty is that vaccines are good for about 6 months. And it seems that a lot of the emphasis on getting boosters did not follow through since last fall. Now, on almost every corner in Beijing, when I pass them, there's not only a testing site, but across the street or very nearby, you'll see a booster shot. And they're free. You can stop in a few minutes, you're done. I think they want to get to about 60%. They want to make sure that they have options to treat people who have not had the vaccine. But once that happens, I do think they are going to switch to an endemic mode from a pandemic mode.
Do you think that the mood there of people being free after this lengthy lockdown, it almost seems like, when you would see them, people in their high-rise buildings banging pots and pans out of the windows, expressing their frustration that they're not going to be able to handle another lockdown if the coronavirus does continue to spread, because there have been real questions about immunity there in China because of the policies.
Well, Michelle, I mean, that's what I was just referring to in terms of the booster shots. They are needed. They are being put out there. I mean, China's a little different from the U.S. and Europe. I mean, you see the speed at which they react to things. There's no, for better or worse, there's no long debates in Parliament or the Congress and people jockeying for their own benefit or the benefit of their area. They had 6 days ago, they had 100,000 leaders throughout China. Marshall told what they were supposed to do.
Yeah,
2 days ago,
right.
Shanghai put out a 50-point list. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Sorry, Einar. You just wonder,
Yeah, no,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's just they put out a 50-point, very detailed list of taxes, fees, delays in payments, rent abatement. These are very, very specifically targeted. Now, the government cannot do everything. And there are people who have lost their businesses because, not just because of the lockdown, but because it's a pandemic. It's a public health issue. And the question is, how do you get those people back on their feet? And this is going to be consuming China for quite some time. I mean, the backbone of China are these small, medium-sized enterprises. They provide about 90% of new jobs. And jobs and disposable income are the order of the day. In order to get this consumption economy moving, they need to get people back to work and earning money.
Yeah, you wonder how people will react if this goes on in a cycle. But then again, because it is China, they have limited ways of expressing themselves. Excellent points, Einar. Thanks for joining us.